So, an interesting debate broke out this weekend on the Twitter machine. Interesting debate broke out, and I'm actually going to need a blue wrench or two to assist me with this because we are going to briefly tally some votes to see what you all think might be Marvel's greatest team. Because the debate that erupted on the Twitters was whether the X-Men or the Avengers are Marvel's most popular team. And this article that was found on comicbook.com actually goes through a little bit of the pros and cons of each one of the teams and just says or asks the question of, which one is the greatest? So I'm actually going to throw that out for you guys right now, and definitely interested in hearing you all's thoughts in the chat and also in the comment section later on. Which do you believe is the greatest team to exist at Marvel? Is it the Avengers or the X-Men? Reggie here, your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This is the Ready, Set, Go preview show. This is a show that we do on Sunday night because it gives us an opportunity to come together as a comic book community, spend a little bit of time talking about some things that are on my mind and might also be on your mind. And I also provide you with a preview of some of the content that is going to be coming out from the channel over the course of this week. And I'm going to start off with giving you guys a preview of some of the things that are going to be coming out. And one of the questions that I have for you is, have you just wasted an entire year? Have you wasted an entire year of time? That is one of the questions that I'm going to pose to you in a video that will be dropping this week. And I'm going to be really, really interested to hear what people's thoughts are on that very simple question. In addition to that, we're going to talk a little bit about if you have a brick facial. You guys know that my phrasing for catching a bad deal or whatever it happens to be is to catch a brick. Occasionally, a brick to the face will slide down and essentially give you a facial. So we're going to have a little fun with brick facials. That is another video that's going to be coming out. And then we're just going to do a simple CGC unboxing. In addition to those three recorded videos, we're also going to be doing the live stream on Wednesday as part of Comics Today. That'll be on Wednesday, the best day of the week, and I will have a guest or two on to help me to make sense of some topic that is out there in the world of collectibles. In addition to those pre-recorded and live streams that we're going to do, I'm also going to release a podcast on Monday, and I received some really, really wonderful feedback from a Patreon member and a subscriber thanking me for continuing to put out the podcast, because he says it's tough for him to make the live shows because of just life in general, but he likes to listen to the podcast when he's on the go and doing other things. He can still enjoy the show. So again, shout out to him, and shout out to my brother, Rozelle Simmons, for continuing to put the podcast out almost on time every single week. Shout out to my brother. I definitely appreciate you, bro. And then we're also going to be releasing a blog post this week. Podcast comes out on Monday, fingers crossed, at 7 a.m. And the blog post comes out on Wednesday, also at 7 a.m., both Eastern Standard Time. The pre-recorded videos come out at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then the live show, Comics Today, is at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we'll also be back here next Sunday for another Ready, Set, Go preview show. So if you missed the start of the show, I am asking folks to tell me what they think is Marvel's greatest superhero team of all times. And there was a debate on the Twitters. The debate was basically X-Men versus Avengers. So let your voice be heard. I think one of the blue wrenches is trying to capture the votes for me. Vote once, don't confuse the matter. Vote once, let me know what your preference is, and then we'll tally it a little bit later in the show. I will tell you guys, I was watching something earlier today. I'm going to talk about it in just a little bit. An amazing show on Netflix. It was pretty good, but I could tell you there are ways to tweak it to make it even more better, but it was entertaining, and we'll talk about that in a little bit later in the show. One of the things that I wanted to talk about here very briefly was, I think, a really cool homage that DC and a DC creator are actually paying to Marvel, and more specifically to Spider-Man and Todd McFarlane. You guys may not have seen this, so I wanted to take a couple of moments to talk about this article that was on Newsarama. And it says here, DC pays rare homage to Marvel in playful Batman nod to Todd McFarlane's iconic Spider-Man cover. And I absolutely love this cover from back in the day. Like, who does not own a half dozen to 2 dozen of Spider-Man issue number 1? But what you see here is a little bit of a mashup. Spitman is the name of this playful comic here. And it says, that's our mashup of comic book icons, Todd McFarlane's equally iconic cover from 1990 Spider-Man number 1 with Victor's homage variant for the upcoming Batman 118. And it says the new Batman cover appeared as something of a funny surprise in DC's recently released December solicitations. And you can scroll down here. This is going to be a 1 in 25 variant that is actually going to be put out. Let me see if I can find you a better photo. But here, side by side, what you can see on the left is the wonderful our iconic cover that was done by Todd McFarlane back in the day, and on the right, Victor, the artist for, well, the cover artist in this case for Batman issue number 118. I guess this is the reboot, if you will, of the Batman title post its creators, and so you can see definitely some similarities between those two covers on the left and the right. And what's interesting, I do believe, is that the Spider-Man cover on the left is actually a tribute to Batman. And now in 118, we are getting a tribute to Spider-Man playing tribute to Batman. I thought that was really cool. In the lower right-hand corner, I don't know if you guys will be able to see it, it says Nick after Todd McFarlane. That's a pretty cool thing that you used to see. Occasionally someone would do something like that, but it's a very playful nod from Nick, the artist that worked on this cover, to his favorite artist, that being Todd McFarlane. Nick after Todd McFarlane. This again is the cover to Batman 118. And so it says, after my hero art, Todd McFarlane, he wrote this, Nick did, in a tweet. Can't tell you how many hours I've spent drooling over this legendary Spider-Man cover as a kid. So glad I got to do this. Coolest homage I've ever drawn, for sure. So what's cool though is that Batman 118 is actually the start of Josh Williamson's and Jorge Molina's run on the title. So we don't quite know what this holds for them, but those two are actually going to be teaming up and doing a couple of issues of Batman. I think there is a little bit of debate as to who is going to be the ongoing writer and artist for Batman. There's some rumors out there that the writer, what is his name, from that just did Superman, I cannot remember, Brian Michael Bendis is actually potentially going to be taking over Batman and also Detective Comics. That is the rumor that we actually spoke about on the show before. So again, I thought that was a pretty cool thing, a little bit of a nod to Todd McFarlane and DC, I'm sorry, and Marvel from DC. So I wanted to share that with you guys. Let me go back real quick. It's a ratio variant. It is a 1 in 25 ratio variant. It'll be interesting to see if folks snag it. You know, the Batman 118, it's a cool cover. It doesn't blow me away. It doesn't blow me away, but it's a cool cover. I'm trying to think of the artist. Bierman, I think that's his last name. I can't, Lee Bierman, I think that's how you say his last name. He does some amazing covers for Detective Comics. I would love to see him do a cover because he's a super talented guy. So let me scroll through the comments. I think I'm all caught up on some of the comments here. Cover Lover Comics is declaring that X-Men, says X-Men have been a better read overall. Compare Avengers writers to X-Men writers. Oof, that's a tough comparison because you have Chris Claremont's legendary run on the title. So yeah, I dig Batman 423, says Kimball. That's what's up. Let me see. TSP says, I just sent my LCS a message to have them put that on my pull list. Lee Bermejo. I could not picture it, but as soon as I saw it, I got the spelling right. I practiced this man's name because I spoke about it in a video, and I was like, I gotta get that right. Lee Bermejo does some fantastic covers for I think it's Detective Comics that he does them for. I bought a couple of the covers or the books just because I thought the covers were amazing. Never actually read the books, but that was just some tight stuff. So let me see. Scrolling through, yeah, there we go. Flame Brain is like, he is dope. He is indeed. James is saying Bendis will unmask Batman and have Catwoman make a deal with Lucifer Morningstar to bring Alfred back. That's what people say. That's what people say he will do to a good character. He will just wreck him. That is essentially what James is saying right there. He is. I could get on board with that. He is definitely gritty, man. I mean, there was this one cover he did where it was like Batman was outside of a hotel where I think someone had just been killed inside the hotel, but Batman's outside. You see his reflection in the glass. You can see the sign, the neon sign that hangs outside. It was so gritty. It was so gritty and wonderful. Man, you just could not look away from that one. Could not look away from that one at all. So, all right, cool. So again, if you're coming in a little bit late, we're going to do a quick vote here of what you dig more. Is it the X-Men or the Avengers when it comes to Marvel's greatest team? Try to vote once, and one of the blue wrenches is trying to keep score over here. Yeah, David Finch is just, yeah, he's legendary. There's no doubt about that one. Scrolling through, let me see, scrolling through some of the comments here. What is that? 2021 says Avengers character member movies versus X-Men character movies, no comparison. So here's the thing. It's not about, is it about ticket sales? Is it about ticket sales? And is it about movies, right? Because the thing is, technically, the X-Men have never had an MCU movie yet. They've technically never had it. So you have to compare an apple to an apple, right? You have to compare an apple to an apple. I think that that's only fair. And the question is, are you basing it on movies or are you basing it on comics? Are you basing it on comic book sales? Are you basing it on legendary runs of said comics, basing it on value of said comics? Like, how do you decide which is the greatest team? If you do it based upon movies, that's not quite a fair comparison. Not to say that you're wrong. I'm simply saying, is that an apple to an apple? That's all that I'm saying. Technically, did Lee Bermejo create the Batwing? Did he actually create it? Think about that one for a second. Scrolling through, Delano is still dope, man. I don't know that he's been doing very many covers. Like, I personally don't see as many covers from him as maybe I used to see in the past. He was doing a lot of covers for a period of time with IG Comic Store. I don't see him do as much these days. So Randy is declaring, Eugene is declaring, Val is declaring. Oh, we got a fancy declaration with, oh, where'd that go? That got away from me. That fancy declaration here with the dope X right there. Scrolling through a couple of comments here. Master and Madame Blaster are in the house. Welcome to the two of Utes. Definitely appreciate you guys being here. Flame Brain is declaring it. Jim is saying it is all about the Avengers. That's what's up. And the thing about it is, at the end of the day, no one is wrong. Everyone is right because it's all comics and all that good stuff. Scrolling through Chris Bigger, the DC. I don't even know if we can count your vote. You're aren't you more of like a DC and a Top Cow guy? Can we really count your vote? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. So we right now, Regie with the 2 G's, we are getting in on a debate that erupted over the weekend on the Twitters. And I don't know how many of you guys are on Twitter. I have a Twitter. I don't use Twitter all that often. I'm gonna be honest with you. I check it every third day. But there was a debate that erupted, and the debate was around which is Marvel's greatest team. Is it the Avengers or the X-Men? And the article kind of went through a little bit of logic of movies, of legendary runs, of, I think that was it. They basically did movies and legendary runs, writers, maybe team configurations. But the question is, how do you decide, right? How do you decide? Is it based upon values of said comics? Is it based upon legendary runs? Is it based upon just wonderful reads? Is it based upon the creators that have worked on them? Like, what is it based on? Is it based upon movies? Is it based upon TV shows? Like, how do you decide which is the better? I one time did not log into Facebook for like, I want to say it was like at least a year and a half, and they sent me like a message and was like, you haven't logged in for like 400 or 500 and some odd days. It was crazy. It was crazy. So scrolling through some of the comments here, booster gold could take. I'm gonna be honest, man. You guys are gonna see a video here soon where I actually went hunting for some booster golds in my collection. I think I made the declaration that this is possibly the first time I've gone hunting for booster golds in the collection. But I have read some booster golds, and it was not bad. It was not bad at all. I will tell you that. Scrolling through. All right. And this is the guy that I think of anytime I think about booster gold. I think about this guy right here. Squirrel Madness loves some booster gold. I tend to think about him. There you go, X-Men. There you go, a little bit of, yeah. I mean, well, didn't he Avenger? They live in a celestial now. So are they cosmic now by like declaration? I don't know. I don't know. Oh, there's a lot more booster gold fans than I thought. All right. So one of the other things that I wanted to kind of circle back on was something that I did live streams on. I want to say like twice. I did back-to-back live streams on this whole lawsuit thing that is going on between Marvel and attorneys that represent some creators that have made some amazing creations that we all celebrate, right? And we're talking about Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Black Widow. It is a Hawkeye. It is like a long list of creations that the creators are trying to take back their rights to. And as you would imagine, Marvel is trying to prevent this. So there have been lawsuits each way. And over the course of like a day, more and more facts kind of started coming in. And as I've continued reading some of the things that are coming out, there are additional details that are coming in. A lot of people have commented on those those two videos that I released. A lot of people commented. So I wanted to kind of continue that conversation because I think that there's some additional information that has come to light that may change some people's position. Because one of the things people have said is, why did the creators wait so long? Right? Why are the creators waiting so long so as to try to get their rights back? Why didn't they do it sooner? Why didn't the creators do it before they passed away? Why is the family doing it? So the wonderful thing is that additional details slowly but surely start to kind of creep out. And I wanted to share some of that additional information with you guys for those that may not be following this thing as closely as I have been. So a legal dispute is heating up between Disney and the creators of Marvel characters Spider-Man, Thor, Black Widow, Iron Man, and more. And it's actually a pretty long list here. But the creators of some of Marvel's most prominent characters have collectively filed suits against Marvel's parent company. Again, I thought that these were like independent acts. This is like a class action lawsuit to some degree. But in response to these creators filing suit, Disney has filed a series of countersuits alleging that all characters in question were created under the work for hire contracts, meaning that under the technicalities of current copyright law, the creators of the work could potentially have no claim of ownership over their creations, regardless of the statute of limitations that spells out when the copyrights for most media creations should return to their original owners. Now, this is important. That passage, that last little bit is important because people are like, well, why are they waiting so long? The reason that they are waiting so long is that it actually takes 60 years. The provisions of the collective lawsuits assert that ownership of copyright over the characters in question should revert to the named creators 60 years after their creation, a term which, for many of the characters in question would be up starting in 2022 under the copyright provision of 1976. So people are like, why have they not filed the claim before? Here's the reason. First, the law that gave them the ability did not go into effect until the year I was born, 1976. But they also had to wait the period, the statute of limitations period, 60 years. That's why a lot of these creators did not try to regain their rights sooner, because they technically couldn't, I guess, right? Because of this provision. But maybe the other reason is that they were waiting to see how some of these other lawsuits kind of panned out, because there was others that preceded this, waiting to see how some of those things would go. There's potentially up against the 900-pound gorilla and trying to fight that. That is not necessarily appealing to anyone. But this attorney has basically rallied these families together of the creators to try to regain the rights to this thing. So it basically says here, according to the New York Times, who broke the news of the dispute, the initial complaint was filed earlier this year by Mark Toberoff. Toberoff. I think we spoke about him before, representing Larry Lieber, who is Stan Lee's brother. Larry is the creator of Iron Man, Thor, and Ant-Man. He scripted like Spider-Man comic for the last 30 years. On September 24th, which was not that long ago, he was joined in his lawsuit against Disney by the family of Stephen Ditko, by Don Heck, the creator of Black Widow and Hawkeye, the heirs of Don Rico, the creator of Black Widow, and the heirs of Gene Colan, the creator of Blade, Falcon, and Carol Danvers. So you're basically talking about several heavy hitter creators, as well as some awesome characters that are in limbo. Do I know that they are going to be successful? I honestly don't know. Honestly don't know, because as you would imagine, Marvel is making the argument here that these are all works for hire, that they were literally paid a salary. They were fairly compensated to do this work on behalf of Marvel. Therefore, they have no claim of ownership to these creations. Now, had they created the creations and then sold them to Marvel, then I think they potentially would have had a better leg to stand on. Let me see if I can find the section here where it says a little bit of that. Let's see if I can find it here. Trying to find it. That's a little bit of the suit stuff that came before. Let me see if I can find it. Those copyright conditions under his contributions, work for hire, do not apply here. Yeah, so Marvel assigned Lieber stories to write, had the right to exercise control over Lieber's contributions, and paid him a per page rate for his contributions. This is the Disney complaint, where they're basically saying, look, this guy didn't independently create this stuff and then sell it to us. He basically received an assignment. He did the assignment. He was compensated for the assignment. Therefore, to wit, the intellectual property, the creation, is indeed ours and is not eligible for the revision back after 60 years to the creator. So it is going to be, again, interesting to see how this plays out. I completely get why the creators are doing what they're doing, because this IP is extremely valuable. So they are trying to take shot on goal. They are trying to do a little something for themselves and for their families. I definitely get it. I wish them luck. Again, I don't know how this thing is going to play out. So I think this has big settlement written all over it. I think the creators' families have a better outcome that way. And again, I think that that's potentially why they have kind of all come together and banded together to go after it versus trying to tackle this thing individually. So Steve is saying, I'm sorry to say it, but I don't think the family has a fighting chance. It is work for hire. And so again, that is a point of view. You absolutely could be right, brother. You could be right about that one. Green, is it green or green? Green is greed. Green equals greed. Sorry, if I could only read. Man, the family is going to win the lawsuit, and Top Cow is going to be What is this? I see both sides. Prior to 1982, artists did not get their art back as work for hire, and reprint checks did not come until later. You got a page rate. People like Neil Adams got Kirby's art back. Yeah, Neil Adams has a long history of fighting for creators' rights. He has done a lot to try to protect his fellow artists, mainly again Jack Kirby. So I definitely, again, I applaud these guys for at least taking shot on goal. Will they win? I honestly don't know. Squirrel Madness is getting in there basically saying they will probably they will probably lose. Sorry, I was laughing at this comment right here. A nice game of rock, paper, scissors should settle everything. Hey, um, it works on the schoolyard. So why not? Why not? We're only talking about a couple of $1 billion, but hey, let's do it. Seems like an avenue that would be explored, although not just here for the claim Disney Marvel has put on the IP. Been a corporate hotspot for years for people feeling they were exploited. I mean, again, I get it, but at the same time, you had a job, you got a paycheck, you could have potentially negotiated better. Maybe you could have negotiated. I mean, at the end of the day, the industry wasn't quite prepared to compensate these folks the same way that Chris Claremont was compensated, for example. And I spent some time with Chris, you guys know that, where he basically broke down how they actually got paid. They got paid based upon the success of the publication, how many copies actually sold. That's like where they made a lot of their money. That didn't exist before. Jim Shooter actually introduced that concept back, and I want to say like the 80s, like 82, 83, if memory serves, to someone else's point there. I think that's when things started to change a little bit better. But again, these guys were back in the day, the publisher, Marvel, DC were all trying to survive. The creators were trying to survive. They were trying to put food on their table. They weren't thinking in 60 years these things are going to be $1 billion movies and all. No one saw that coming. No one saw it coming, lousy PR move by Disney going after them. They I don't even know if they had a choice, brother. And again, I'm arguing both sides of it because, like someone else, I see both sides of this thing. They had no choice. They had no choice, in my opinion, right? If someone sues you, you got to sue back. I mean, I just think that's the way of the world, and the House of Mouse is not shy. They have armies of attorneys that work for the corporation, and also those that are external counsel that are just prepared. They're prepared for these types of battles, no doubt about it. So what will happen if the families get control? Marvel Comics and the MCU will fall apart. I'm gonna be honest with you. And I talked to I think it was Pretty Fly for a Filipino guy. I don't think this is ever going to happen. I don't think it's ever going to happen. There is no way that this IP will be allowed to come to the open market, where by which the family could sell it. I think that their Marvel and the families are probably going to work out some kind of agreement, the same way that the creators of Superman have worked out an agreement. I think that they're going to figure it out. They're going to fight it. And then in the end, they're going to make a compromise that both sides will be unhappy with, which means that it's probably the right compromise. You know what I'm saying? So kind of sad that the older creators in many ways get screwed. I'm going to tell you, man, I saw a documentary this weekend. Pretty Fly for a Filipino guy recommended this. And I think it's called Batman and Me. Batman and Me on Hulu. If you guys have not seen this documentary, I'm going to tell you right now, get some tissue, sit down, watch this documentary. It is incredibly powerful. It is absolutely biased. There's no doubt about that. It's absolutely a biased thing, but it is also a very powerful documentary. I do enjoy a good documentary, but it's Batman and Me. I do believe that's a title on Hulu. It is about a creator for Batman that never received the credit that he was due. And it is a little bit of a sad story, but in the end, his family was ultimately triumphant. but it was definitely a sad story. The way that the story is being told, you feel very, very bad for a lot of these creators because they did not, many of them did not have an easy road to go, and so you feel bad for them. So when I think about what is happening now, and I think about people like Mr. Finger, who helped create Batman, that was given the shaft, that died alone, and never received credit for a wonderful creation that we opened the show talking about Batman. It's sad. It really is. So again, on one hand, I applaud these creators for doing what they do. My hope is that they receive some type of compensation. At the end of the day, I need the movies and the comics to continue to flow. Let's be super transparent and clear about that. I need the comics and the movies to continue to flow. So scrolling through but when did they give Bill Finger credit for they actually you got to watch the documentary. You got to watch the documentary. When one of the more recent Batman movies came out, I can't remember which one. Don't get me to lying on titles here, but there was a Batman movie that actually came out where he was credited on screen as having helped to create Batman. I think it was said I posted it on Instagram. It was in my story. It was basically like Bob Kane with Bill Finger. And what's crazy is that Bob Kane actually blocked him out, actually blocked out his co-creator contractually. At least that was the rumor. Just tough, man. Just tough, man. If I'm not mistaken, DC has to pay the estate of Wonder Woman. Yeah, the estate for Wonder Woman actually gets paid anytime they use her likeness, because I think that they went and they fought for it and they were able to secure some rights. I want to say the creators for Superman were able to secure some rights. I think that those are probably the two that readily come to my mind. And then Bill Finger, I don't know if his family gets anything. I don't know if he gets anything. So shout out to Bob Ross's family for sure, specifically his son. Again, another documentary. If you guys haven't seen the Bob Ross story on Netflix, I think it is very, very powerful. Very, very powerful stuff. I highly encourage you guys to check it out. Doug is saying that Bill Finger documentary is excellent. Yes, indeed it was. Bill Finger was a genius, and Bob Kane, the documentary kind of sort of made the point that Bob Kane almost became trapped within his own lies. Like, he had told so many lies for so many years that he had basically blocked himself in, that even morally towards the end, when he wanted to do the right thing, he still struggled to do the right thing, and that's one of the sad things. And as I watched the documentary in the sections that specifically spoke about Bob Kane, I found myself drawing parallels to to Stan Lee. I found myself drawing parallels between those two guys because they were both showmen. They were both, I do believe, very vocal and verbose, and they were salesmen. That's what they were. They were salesmen, creators. Yes, don't get me wrong, but they were also salesmen. They were trying to make some magic happen. They were trying to be over the top. They were trying to be characters. At least, again, this is my opinion. And unlike Bob Kane, I think Stan Lee actually made some transitions. And a lot of people, I don't know, fully give him credit. They will say that Stan Lee, did all of this. He created all of these characters. He never gave credit to anyone else. I don't know if that was true towards the back part of his life. I think that he started to give credit to these other creators that he worked with, that early on he blocked out, he ignored, he dismissed. But later in his life, he actually, in my opinion, again, he did start to give more credit to these other creators. And I think maybe that's one of those things that comes with age, and it comes with maturity, and it comes with, not necessarily carrying that baggage from the past into the future, and you're able to profess the truth. You're able to face some realities. And I think that that's what I think that's what Stan Lee was able to do. But does it say Bill Finger on them? With Bill Finger, is it on there? It absolutely has to be on there, or those are not official. Batman versus Superman. Thank you, brother. I definitely appreciate that. Was the movie in which Bill Finger was actually given credit for having helped to create Batman. So there you go. Right back at you. Right back at you. Friday. Definitely appreciate you swinging by. Let me see. Let me see. Just saw that today. The Bob Ross documentary brought back the element. Man, I'm gonna tell you, man. Bob Ross was an absolute beast. I mean, I don't even like the paint, but it was something pleasant about the man's voice and the afro. You gotta love the afro, right? But yeah, he did a lot of stuff. I don't know if he made the best business decisions. I think he was very trusting, not necessarily paying attention as closely as he should have. He could have prevented a lot of things from going wrong, but just did not make good decisions, and that is not to say that he's a bad person or anything like that. I think that we all make bad decisions, but I think the goal is to try to learn from some of these lessons and maybe prevent some of those things from happening to us in the future. So there you go, that I think that actually was that might have been like a slight quote from the movie, but Bob Kane knew how to play the game. Bill Finger was a quiet fella, he says. Chris Bigger says it all comes down to greed. No doubt about that one. That's true. That's true. I don't know about Kane. I don't know how much talent he had or not, but Stan Lee did have talent. He absolutely did. There is no doubt about that one. And again, I struggled with making that comparison between the two, because it's almost like saying that they're equal, and that wasn't the point. But they sometimes get painted with that same brush when I don't think that they were the same. That was essentially the gist that I was trying to make there. So Bill Finger family gets a percentage from DC from 1960 to now, says Donald. I did not know that. I don't know the details of it. I don't know that was ever really contained in the documentary. So thank you for adding that to the conversation. John says, one thing I never liked about Marvel is how Stan Lee took credit for everything, ignoring the artists like Kirby Ditko. Again, I don't think that he was like that all the way to the end. I think that he did early on, but towards the end, I do not think that was the case. But that point of view is true, in my opinion, up until a point. But again, it's one of those things, and we may talk about this at Comics Today. So let me not continue on. Let me not continue on with that one. Didn't Jack Kirby and Stan Lee had a falling out with everybody. Doesn't matter whether it was Jack or Steven Ditko. He had a falling out with just about everybody. That was just the nature of the beast. So absolutely he did. So scrolling down, scrolling down. What is that? I've heard that name almost as much as your voice. There you go. I like that. I know which household you belong to, my friend. Scrolling through, talent does not equal business sense, unfortunately. Well said. That is the truth. I always tell people that just because businesses go out of business doesn't mean that industry is tanking, right? And I bring that point up to make this point that doctors' offices go out of business all the time. And doctors' offices go out of business because they're talented doctors. They're not talented business people. That's why they oftentimes have a wife or a significant other or business manager that runs the business, because they are focused on being doctors. And that's one thing I always say about LCSs as well. LCSs go out of business, but that doesn't mean that the industry is crashing. It just might mean that LCS owner was not a good business person, the same way that a doctor's office goes out of business, but that does not mean that medicine is going away. So brought that thing all the way around, I do believe. David says a big fan of Jack Kirby, respected, legendary Afro. I'll let you know. I'll let you know when I achieve it. When I've achieved that amount of money that satisfies my every want and desire, I will say to you, Steve, this is enough money. But until that day, we're going to keep hustling. Scrolling down through some of the comments, Stan Lee might have had the ideas, but it was the artist that brought the characters to life. Scrolling through. So if you guys are coming in a little bit late, we are playing a little bit of a game of which is better, X-Men or Avengers? When you think about Marvel's best team, the biggest team, which team is the best? Is it the X-Men or the Avengers? Asking people to vote only once in this thing. Let us know what your preference is. One of the blue wrenches is keeping score, and I don't know which, but I am going to come to you here, Blue Wrench, in a hot moment, and I'm going to ask you the question as to where we are. And yes, indeed, I am. I was looking at the statistics earlier today. I think we're at like 14,700 or something like that. We are still way behind our goal of 22,000 subscribers for this year, but we have grown. We have indeed grown. Thank you, Kimball, for making note of that. No, 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 no. There's no change in your mind. I will tell you, New Avengers back in 2005, 2006, epic. Brian Michael Bendis's run on New Avengers is amazing. Amazing, amazing. The jailbreak, the Sentry, amazing. I'm telling you, scrolling down through some of the comments here. Avengers, love the X-Men, but hard to top the Avengers. Here. So Natasha is a huge fan of the X-Men, but not necessarily of Jonathan Hickman. And we've actually had a lot of back and forth over that one. Shout out to you, my friend. But thank you for voting. I definitely appreciate that. Who is that? Mendoza's going on the board saying that it is the X-Men. That's what's up. All right, cool. Yeah, here's the thing. That's the question. That's the question. Is there even fair criteria to really be able to compare these teams? Because if you base them on the movies, you can't, in my opinion, you cannot compare a MCU movie to any other movie. You have to wait for the X-Men to have an MCU movie and then compare the two in terms of whether they are blockbusters or not, right? You cannot compare some of that old stuff. I don't think that you can do that, right? Do you base it upon legendary runs? Do you base it upon creators? Do you base it upon sales? Who sold the most? Do you base it upon the values of X-Men comics versus Avenger comics, which I don't know. I don't know what the criteria for evaluation are. This is why this was such a heated debate on the Twitters, because there's no right answer. There's no right answer. And no Avengers fan is going, no Marvel, no X-Men fan is basically going to say, let's compare movies, right? And then no Avengers fan is going to say, let's compare values of comics, because neither one of those things are comparable, So the question is, where do you draw your line? I only picked the Avengers because Spider-Man was on the team. Wasn't Spider-Man on the X-Men too? Wasn't he like an X-Men? Like he was an FF member. I thought he was on the X-Men team too. I could be wrong. Spidey's been on everybody's team. He is universal blood. He's on everybody's squad. He works with everybody. Scrolling through some of the comments, it is. There's no way that. It's just tough. In my opinion, since we are comic collectors, this debate should be on the books for the criteria. Okay, so in that sense, are you basing it upon the values? Are you basing it upon the legendary runs? Are you basing it on longevity? Are you basing it upon comic book sales? So if we base it upon comics, what aspect shall you base? I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready for that one. I wasn't ready. All right. So the last thing that I actually had on my agenda that I wanted to share with you guys is that I have been binge watching between soccer matches, between my mother coming over, between household duties, bush cutting. I built the bonfire for the first time ever. It was an amazing bonfire. I built this thing to like burn all the shrubbery that we had cut down yesterday. It was a fun experience for my kids. I smoked like 2 packs of cigarettes, I think. But in between all those things, soccer games, all that kind of stuff, I watched a new show on Netflix, and it was pretty darn good. I have 1 episode left to go called Revelations, and I cannot wait to watch it after this show. But this is what it was. It's called Midnight Mass. And as you would imagine from that image and also from that title, it is very much a religious based type of show. I think there's like 8 episodes. I could be lying about that. But, it is also an interesting horror type of movie. There are certain types of movies I like. And if you know me, you know what type of movie I'm talking about. I'm trying not to give it away. But the blending of genres that they basically did with this movie or this show, I think is really interesting. And again, I've binged watched it over like the last 2 days, and I'm a little sad to see it end with this next episode. But if you get a chance, check out Midnight Mass. I think that some of you, some some of you might actually like it. Yeah, it looks like lighthearted comedy. Yeah, it is. It is. It is. Yeah, it's definitely lighthearted. You know, Venom. Which brand do you think is best for making a series? Netflix, Prime, Disney Plus? I think Netflix by far. I think Netflix by far is the best at content creation. I think that all of them have some good shows, right? But when I look at the totality of what has been put out, for me, it's Netflix. There's a reason why I don't have Hulu anymore. I just don't think Hulu is it. Prime has one or two good things. Disney Plus has a couple of things. Apple TV has a couple of things. But for me, Netflix and chill all day long. All day long. Yes, it is. It is horror. It is basically a horror movie or show. It is really good. What is it? Albert says Midnight Mass is fire. Yes, indeed it is. Scrolling through, I am not going to respond to that question, Tina. But yeah, you may want to just check it out. You may just want to check it out. All right, so let me go. Who is the blue wrench? Who is the blue wrench that is keeping score for me? Let me know what the score is if you guys can throw it up. Whoever's doing it in all caps so I can actually see it. HBO Max does a pretty good job too. They do. They do. Again, my vote is still Netflix. My vote is still Netflix. I think they need to merge these things all together because there's way too many shows going on. I'll be honest with you. Netflix is not scared to throw all the money at a show, but then end it on the second season. That's true. That's true. Waiting for a blue wrench to throw some of this stuff up. Can't recommend anything more than Wayne on Amazon Prime. For me, it is Netflix as well. They have great content. Yes, they do. You don't like Disney Plus. You don't watch animated series. Nope, not cartoon. That's true. That's true. But they do. Disney does have some other stuff. I mean, Dr. Pole. Dr. Pole is incredible. I diagnosed my dog recently with a perforate. I can't remember the term. I lost it. It's in my head because I used it, but it's gone, and it might not be the best, most polite thing to actually talk about on our family-friendly show. But I diagnosed. I called the vet up. I said, we have a situation here. We have a blah, blah, blah. And the vet ends up calling me back and was like, so it's not that. And I was like, oh, I apologize. I'm a veterinary through Dr. Pole. If you guys haven't seen Dr. Pole, check it out. Tina's been keeping score. Thank you, Tina. So X-Men have 22 votes. Avengers has 8. That seems about right. And as usual, you guys just go off on tangents. We have the Justice League in here and FF. You guys just go off on tangents. But again, the vote pretty much went the way that I thought that it was going to go because the X-Men are amazing. They are amazing. I love some X-Men. Again, Avengers make magic happen. I don't know. Justice League, I don't know. I don't know about that one. Fantastic Four, yeah, pretty good, pretty good. All right, so what is this? I'm hoping the HBO Max does a good job with the Green Lantern series. You and me both, brother. I definitely keep my fingers crossed. You guys know that. My current count is X-Men 22 and Avengers 11. So there we go. We're still in the lead. We're still in the lead. I had X-Men winning by a hair. All right, so we're done with that. We're done with that game. We'll see whether people continue to vote down in the comment section when this thing goes live. So there's a new comedy on HBO on Hulu called I Love Lucy. I hear it's going to be a hit. Are you talking about the new I Love Lucy or the retro? Because if it's retro, brother, with Lucille Ball, if it stars Lucille Ball, I got a secret for you. My count was X-Men 22 and Avengers 11. There we go. So we're still ahead. All right, cool. I'm scrolling down. Darkhawk has 1 vote. Let me see. I'm pulling a Trump. I demand an audit. You already know how that's gonna go, brother. Anyway, so there was a comment here about Somebody asking about GarageCon. Yes. There, brother, there is no off topic. Okay. We're riffing at this point. So GarageCon is going to go down. GarageCon is an annual con that I do at my house. It historically has been at my house in California, but now we are in North Carolina. Yes, GarageCon is going down on November 20th. So I definitely want to encourage you guys to if you want to come, stay tuned to the channel. I will be making announcements because it's at my house. I'm not publicly going to be declaring my address. What I think that I'm going to do, and I've been noodling this for a little while. I need to figure out the mechanics of it, but I think it'll be I need to know who you are before I give you my address, just in case some stuff goes wrong. Not that I don't trust people, but it only takes one. It only takes one person. So I think the way that it's going to work is that folks will have to provide me with a copy, like a photo of their license. I think that's how I'm going to do it, in exchange for the address. That way, again, I have information that lets me know who all is actually coming to my house. And hopefully people can embrace that and understand the need for security. My alternative is to do an event offsite. I personally don't think that that's as much fun as being able to meet and mix with you guys here at the house, and you can actually see the 100K collection. Like, not get near it. No, don't get me wrong. No one's getting near the collection, but you can see it from a distance, from afar. But I think that that's how I'm going to do it. I'm still working out some of the details, but GarageCon is going down November 20th. I will tell you that I do have a couple of really cool surprises. I do have a couple of really cool surprises for folks that are able to make it out. I hope that you guys can come out. I hope that you'll have fun. And I think that I will. I think that I will. We can look at the 100K. You can look at it through the window. You can breathe the air. You can even sample a candle that may or may not smell like the 100K collection. No, we no, we don't do that. We don't do that stuff. I'm going to GarageCon as long as Reggie accepts my ID. Here's the thing. The thing is, there's a lot of folks out there that I know. Like, there's a lot of folks I know well, and I know Doug well. There's other folks that I don't know as well, that I don't talk to every day or a couple of times a day in some people's cases, right? So what I would say is just be understanding. Just be understanding that folks will be coming to my house. Certain precautions that have to be taken just to be safe, just to be smart. Have some police, brother. My mother's gonna be here. We don't need police tape. Sheila is no joke. I give Sheila assignment, that assignment gets done. Mom, don't let anybody near the collection. It's done. I don't have to worry about it. Mom is no joke. She is no joke. Absolutely love that woman. Absolutely do. Yes, GarageCon in North Carolina. For those that are wondering, Charlotte, South Charlotte. Again, I'm not giving details, but some people have reached out and were like, hey, I'm traveling in. I need a hotel. Can you at least give me a general area? South Charlotte. All right. South Charlotte is the best that I can do for right now. But Charlotte, North Carolina, additional details will be forthcoming. So, Steve, you don't want this kind of trouble, brother. I'm gonna be honest with you. You don't want this kind of trouble. So those folks that came in a little late, we have covered off on a lot of topics. We talked in great detail about the legal dispute that is currently going on between Marvel and some of the creators' estates of some amazing characters that have been created over the last 60 some odd years. We talked a little bit about Marvel's best team, that being X-Men and the Avengers. We talked about this really good show right here called Midnight Mass on Netflix. If you guys haven't seen that, I encourage you to check it out. It is a horror movie. It is one that I enjoy. It could be even better if they made certain tweaks, but I'm not a movie critic, so I will not attempt to make those suggestions, but could have been even better if. By way of content coming out from the channel, I want to offer this up to you guys. We're going to release a couple of pre-recorded videos, and then we're going to do one live stream. The big question that I'm going to be asking people this week is, have you wasted an entire year? Have you wasted an entire year? Is one video. The second video that is going to be coming out is a CGC unboxing. The third pre-recorded video is about a brick facial. You guys know my terminology for a bad deal or something not quite going your way is catching a brick. Occasionally that brick slides down your face and essentially gives you a facial. So brick facial is the topic. And then we're also going to have Comics Today on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. In addition to that content, one blog post will be coming out on Wednesday, and then one podcast will be coming out on Monday, both at 7 a.m. The podcast is available on your favorite podcasting platform, whatever that might be. If you search Regie Collects, more than likely you will find possibly 100 or so episodes that are available to you to check out. All right. So there you go. All right. So we're going to go ahead. If there is breaking news, you could see me at almost any hour of the day. I went live twice in one day because there was like that much news that was coming out. So you never know. If it's 7 a.m., I might be slightly sleepy. I get up twice a night with the dogs. Okay. With that, we are going to wrap this thing up. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me just a little bit. I hope that you enjoyed this episode of Ready, Set, Go. As always, if you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. And before I get out of here, I want to take one quick moment to give a shout out to Larry S. Larry S. sent me a donation via PayPal yesterday for absolutely no reason. Well, the reason is that I go back and forth with people all the time, giving people advice, answering questions, that kind of stuff. But he sent me a couple of bucks to say thank you for helping him. He's come back to the hobby after a long hiatus, and his message to me talks about the fact that my videos have helped him. My answers to his questions have helped him. And so he wanted to send something to me to say thank you. So I want to acknowledge him. I don't have a mechanism. I guess I could go back and search through emails to find him. But this donation came through PayPal, and there wasn't a mechanism to reply right back to him. So I wanted to do it here. All right. With that said, like I said, if you guys need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.